Give me your picks, give me your insights. I want the bets from Betting Weekly. Because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show, Bet River sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Well, good day to everyone. Welcome to Betting Weekly Live. It's Tuesday, the 23rd of September. You're with Steve Wyss, and I'm delighted to be joined by Ruairidh Barlow, our Spanish handicapper and expert. Ruairidh, how's things going there?
Yeah, all good here. It's starting to cool down a little bit. I was up in the Basque Country as well a couple of weekends ago. So, yes, I've got a jumper on for the first time in about 4 months. So that will give you an idea of how things are going. But all good up here in Spain.
Changing of the seasons is on its way, even in the Iberian Peninsula. But good to see you as ever. And good to see everyone in chat as well. ZT, Barak, Rick Haley, Byron Murrell, Duncan Evans, Blinker God as well. We're going to go through the whole of the midweek LaLiga card, actually, with a strong focus on all of today's matches, a little bit of EFL Cup talk as well. And Portuguese League has been on the menu for Betting Weekly Live recently. And I'm continuing it with Jose Mourinho's debut in charge of Benfica. So lots to look forward to on today's show. Just want to go through some notable winners and losers yesterday. $75,000 was lost on the Ravens -3 against the Lions on the NFL. On the flip side, $46,000 on the Lions +4.5. That was a winner. Lions winning straight up on the money line, of course, decent odds. So, and there was lots and lots of betting action on that NFL match yesterday evening. The biggest soccer play was a loser, sadly. Marseille PSG over 3 Asian total at -110. I almost feel partly responsible for it because on the extra time show, I did give that as a lean. Although I changed my mind yesterday, Roy. I did put it in chat. I said I'm not on the over 3 anymore. The team news and the changing of the schedule there with the La Classique, totally. I think it was a different dynamic compared to normal. So apologies if that lean did affect someone's bet there. Napoli money line, that was a $15,000 winner at -370. Marseille with the first home win against PSG in the league for 15 years nearly. A long time we've been waiting for that one. It's not often you see PSG get beaten in any competition, Rory. So that was obviously the big shock result around there yesterday. How was your weekend betting in La Liga?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for PSG, it was good that they had a giant song and dance to distract from Le Classique if they were to get beaten. For La Liga, yeah, I mean, Rayo was on the kind of Betting Weekly Instagram. If you're not following us, get on there because we win, which did hit yesterday. I missed on the Real Madrid game and Jesus, I mean, some of the cards that the referee passed up in that game had me slightly tearing my hair out. But yes, Rayo Celta did hit under 1.5 goals in the first half, and Celta to win or draw. Celta, who have 5 1-1 draws in a row, if you're looking at them for this week's slate.
Yeah, I watched that game. I was betting on the corners. I always get on the corners in the Rayo matches, especially at home. It just seemed to be a magnet for them. And Celta Vigo, they're a really interesting case. The one team actually we won't be talking about in terms of La Liga. They are in Europa League action on Thursday against Stuttgart away from home. I don't know what to make of Celta Vigo right now. They just seem to be steadily getting better, about 10% every match. That's how I find it with Celta Vigo. It's a slow start to the season, but they are definitely improving. And Real Brendan King there makes a very good point. Shout out to Jack with a Marseille pick plus a half a goal. Really good from Jack yesterday. Several of the winners as well on Betting Weekly Live. Just going through some comments here now. Blinker God will go through those games. Byron, can we get cricket to pick the Seahawks and Cardinals for Thursday night? Yeah, my cat on the betting zoo did get the Lions game correct on the pet picks. She's 2-0 for the season. We'll see when I next bring her out, Byron. I don't want to, go crazy with she was rested last weekend and came back fully fresh for the pick. So
I'll give you an in on that. Take Seahawks on the money line, but full disclosure, Seahawks are my team.
I mean, the Seahawks were really strong at the weekend. Got to say, I'm not sure what they're beating there. Well, I know they're beating a terrible side, but fair enough, they've got a good result on the board. Boilo Charles, good to see you. High Tone Fofo, good to see you as well. Trailer Warlock, good evening from Uganda. We have an audience all around the world. And we have an audience on several sources, on X, on Facebook, on Twitch as well, and of course here on YouTube. Do like and subscribe, and add comments on whatever platform you are watching on. SW, we're going to get into that Bilbao game very, very soon. Villa fan, good to see you as well. The betting zoo, I'll be working my way through the guests. Real Brennan King, don't you worry. Probably not going to be a betting zoo this week, but I've got the next one lined up the following week. So watch this space. The one with James has been excellent. Thanks so much for your feedback there. But we're in for the betting and La Liga midweek round. We're going to start off a little bit on the dreary side. Espanyol against Valencia. I have to say it was the one match of the day here. Nothing caught my eye at all in particular. Espanyol plus 118 favourites. Valencia plus 240. I mean, Espanyol, I've got to say, have started the season a lot better than I expected. Got them completely wrong to such an extent that, they're fairly clear favourite to beat a Valencia side. Who also won at the weekend. Espanyol put up a good fight at Real Madrid. The goal line, the unders favoured at minus 155. Have Espanyol surprised you this season, Rory, or have they done what you thought they would?
I mean, between that my goals line that you're giving me and Brendan trying to distract me with talking about how well the Seahawks are doing, you have given me a tough task. But I think this Espanyol side have been very good. I did expect them to do well this season. I mean, Manolo Gonzalez, their manager, he's quite an affable figure if you're a fan of Espanyol. He did well with them last season. Even if they weren't kind of perfect, they were flawed. I think he got a lot out of that side, and they sold Juan Garcia, who is obviously their star goalkeeper, to Barcelona, but they invested their money really well. I mean, Kike Garcia, who you see on the goal scorer market there, Roberto Fernandez, they brought back permanently. Those are two kind of out-and-out strikers that are probably top half in the league in terms of if you were to make a split of it. Puado himself obviously belongs there as well. So I did expect this Espanyol side to be solid, to be difficult to beat, and that's how they've proved them so far. I do think they're probably too heavily favoured over Valencia for me, even if the odds are quite good, just because the Espanyol side that we've seen has beaten some quite flawed sides. I mean, Mallorca being the prime example last weekend, Espanyol down to 10 men, Mallorca gets level, and Espanyol still managed to get a penalty in the last 5 minutes to win that game. I think against Real Madrid, Espanyol were fine. They didn't do too much wrong, but when Militao is going to crack one in from 35 yards, there's very little you can do. And it's a Valencia side that I've backed to do quite well this season. They've been a little up and down, a little bit more up and down than I would have expected. But I do think this is one of those games where, for me at least, it's quite hard to touch, because I think Valencia will put up a good enough fight, and it will come down to who takes their chances in this game.
Yeah, I have to say it's a tough one. I did look at the corners angle. Valencia most corners at plus 148. That's just simply based on stats, actually. Nothing particular to do with the style of the teams, but Espanyol do average a low number of corners. I don't really watch much of Espanyol, to be brutally honest with you. I watch plenty of Valencia. Generally a good side, apart from when they face Barcelona, right? I don't know. Carlos Corberan cannot deal with Barcelona, but every other team he doesn't seem to have as much of a problem with. It's a tough betting heat, this one. 60% of the money on the money line is on Espanyol, but 54% of the tickets on Valencia. It kind of shows how much it's split, really. Just 58% of the tickets on the over as well. So I feel like there'll be a lot of different opinions on this game. I mean, someone said in chat it's the least bettable. Yeah, Barak Levav said least bettable game of the evening.
I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah, we don't want to get heavily involved in this one at all. A says he likes the draw. Just going back here, Stephen Lynn, good to see you. Sean Calvert has got a dog now. Obviously he wants to get on that betting zoo, doesn't he? We know why he's got the dog. Ryan M, last 5 have been a draw with goals. He's seen plus 310 in that one. That's an interesting one, actually. Arav Aranga says both teams score yes. I mean, you can get, I think, plus money on both teams score yes here. No, not quite. Minus 113, which is still quite a big odds for that. Draw on both teams score yes, I think, is what Brian M was alluring to. Maybe go along those lines. I got nothing strong on it. Do keep the eye on the low number of Espanyol corners, but I'm not big on that at all in any stretch of the imagination. The next match for me, the early kickoff, is much more bettable. 1 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. Athletic Bilbao against Girona. Athletic Bilbao, the favourites at minus 250. Girona are plus 650 here. Now, I've got to be honest. I expected Athletic Bilbao to be a lot shorter in the market here. You can bet on Athletic Bilbao minus 143 on the Asian handicap, and the minus 1.25 lines at minus 104. Girona's results have been awful, and Athletic Bilbao are, the one that look like one of the strongest sides in the division. This just looks an obvious spot, really, where Athletic Bilbao should get the job done quite easily here. We spoke off there. You said it almost looks too, what were the words you used? Too obvious, too easy?
Too obvious.
Are you sensing a trap then, Rory, here, or are we overthinking that?
A little bit. I mean, the direction that I was looking at was Athletic to win to 0, and I was looking at it again, and they've only kept 1 clean sheet this season, Athletic, so that's not particularly good sign. I was up in Bilbao 2 weeks ago to watch them against Alaves, an Alaves side that started well, but Athletic, without Nico Williams, have just been so lacking in goal threat so far. They were okay against Valencia at the weekend at Mestalla. They had kind of a good first half, peppered the Valencia goal with shots, but not really creating clear chances at the moment. And although Girona will give you that, I do think Athletic are liable to potentially concede in this one. So yeah, -1 is maybe a good shout in this game, but this Athletic side, they've a lot of issues right now because they're not defending as well as they can do. Going forward, if you can shut down Oyan Sanset, you're basically shutting down the majority of this Athletic attack right now. Berenguer and Sanset are the 2 kind of danger men. Iñaki Williams is way off form. So yeah, it's a game that I kind of avoided just because there's too many kind of variables in there for me that I think, even though it is kind of obvious, Athletic will win, and then it's about extracting value from that. I didn't want to kind of put my neck on the line for that one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Athletic Bilbao here, -1 on the Asian handicap at minus 143. It's the second best bet of the day for me. Girona, I've watched quite a lot of them this season, and they've been very, very poor. I mean, I did get burnt in the Celta Vigo game when they got a 1-1 draw. I thought they played a decent 45 minutes there, and then they just gradually got worse, tried to hang on. And I feel like the goal at the end, I could sense it from the players they conceded. It was a penalty, I think. It was gut-wrenching for them. They were desperate for that win, and it knocked the heart out of them a bit. And I wouldn't be surprised if it went into the weekend performance when they lost against Levante. They've got red card problems. I mean, they were down to 9 men at the weekend. Michel, the manager, I mean, described himself after the game as the worst coach in La Liga. I mean, would you agree with that? Is he the worst manager in La Liga? Are you surprised he's still in a job?
Well, I mean, Michel is the manager that took Girona to 3rd place in La Liga 2 seasons ago. So there's an air of provocativeness to what Michel has been saying over these first few weeks. I wrote a piece about him kind of a few weeks ago as well, when he said that this is my lowest moment as a manager. This was after another heavy defeat, and Girona, they're just struggling to react. They're struggling to kind of rebuild themselves as a team, essentially, because since the Champions League ended for them in the league phase last season, they've basically fallen off a cliff. And I think between Girona, who came up playing quite a swashbuckling, open, aggressive style of football that was very attractive to watch and very successful for Michel, and now kind of playing with a group of players that's quite disjointed, it's a lot of turnover in the squad. Michel doesn't quite know who he can trust. And I think he's really kind of casting around for something that he can hang on to, or casting around more than anything for a reaction from his players to try and kind of damage their pride to a certain extent, and then get something out of them out of that. But yeah, Girona, they're in a tough spot at the moment. They're not someone that I want to back for, but for instance, Vladislav Vanat, who's come in, I think we spoke about him in the qualifiers for the Europa League, and he's been very successful. So yeah, I don't know. This Girona side, I think they will get themselves together a little bit. Might be a question of whether Michel is still in charge for that, getting themselves together.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take some of his comments with a pinch of salt, and it looks like they are going to back him. You know, he did have a really good season with them a couple of years ago, but the metrics don't look good on paper. Joint fourth worst expected goals, by far the worst expected goals against, and you know the 15 goals conceded as well is legitimate. XGA of 14.16, so it's not like they'd be conceding Galatzos and stuff. Worst expected points in the league. There's not much of a case to be made for Girona right now. I do think that Athletic Bilbao, the danger with Bilbao when the one score that always does me in if I lose on an Athletic Bilbao game is 0-0. But I just can't see 0-0 against Girona. Do you know where I'm coming from? If they have a problem, I mean, they lost to Alaves, didn't they? I think they conceded one shot on target. But the lack of goals sometimes is a problem for Athletic Bilbao. But they couldn't have asked for a better opponent here. That Girona deep. Will Michel adapt his tactics to come here and try and grind out a 0-0 draw or something, or is he incapable of that?
I think he has been trying that. I mean, down the stretch last season, we really saw Michel kind of throw what his style is, in inverted commas, out the window and go to kind of relegation. Let's be solid, let's be compact, and let's not get beaten easily. And that worked to an extent. I mean, Christian Stuani, again, on the goals market there, came up with the goals for them to keep them up. But yeah, as I say, right now, I think they're in a bit of an in-between stage. And it's one of the things that troubles these kind of teams that are in mid-table the most, or in relegation battles the most, is if you are playing a style of football and you're not quite convinced of it, you don't have the quality to kind of pull yourself out of these situations just to get you through to the next game, when you can kind of build on that. With this Girona game, like you say, I do find it very hard to see a 0-0 in this match. But Athletic, I watched them against Rayo at home as well, and that was a 1-1 draw, and Rayo are a much better side than Girona are currently. But I have to say, they were kind of lucky to get that 1-1 draw after the first half that they played. And I think against Alaves, they were just so boring, to be honest, in attack. They had nothing at all going for them. And Alaves will defend better than Girona, but I think there's a chance of kind of a 1-1 here. But yes, they probably will go and win it now that I've argued myself into a corner.
Yeah, I do like Bilbao here. It's just, it feels like a much better matchup for them compared to normal. Crook Hussein, over 1.5 goals, Espanyol, Valencia. It's a backable line if you like those sort of odds. You don't often get over 1.5 goals at those sort of prices. FGA Football, good to see you. Crookie also says Bilbao wins with the handicap. 98% of the money's on Bilbao. 96% of the tickets are on them. Basically, every man and his dog is on Bilbao here, including myself. Interesting stat here I got from producer Troy. Under 1.5 goals has hit in 4 of Bilbao's last 5 La Liga matches as a home favourite, and that has been the problem with them. Like I say, if I have lost matches, lost bets on Athletic Bilbao at home, that 0-0 has often been the issue. But I'm less fearful when you've got a team with such poor defensive metrics that Girona have. Okay, Levante versus Real Madrid, probably the match that a lot of people are interested in betting on today. Real Madrid minus 360, Levante plus 750. We've got an under goal line pretty much at 3.5 or 3.25. Now, I remember the Levante match against Barcelona. It was a firecracker. What a beauty of a game. I mean, Barcelona very nearly went away with nothing, actually, in that fixture, let alone winning it. Will we see a similar sort of match to Levante, of course, coming into the game on the back of a 4-0 win at Girona, so they may well be confident. First win of the season. Are they going to take the game to Real Madrid, do you think? Or will it be a case of, I've seen it before where a newly promoted outfit just tries to hold out for a 0-0, and then if they lose, that they're happy to, be a respectable loss. Will Levante have a go here?
I don't think so. I think Julian Galero, who former policeman, did come with that 4-0 win over Girona, but as we've discussed, Girona maybe not something to put too much stock in. They do have Ete Young, who's been playing very well for them up front, coming from Villarreal and has scored in both his games that he's played for Levante, but I find it very hard to extract value. I do have a pick in this one, which I'll come to, but yeah, this Real Madrid side have been the key phrase from Xabi Alonso has been these games may not be entertaining, but I like them, and that was after the 2-0 win over Espanyol, where Real Madrid are doing well. He did ask for more ambition yesterday from his side, but Real Madrid aren't really putting teams to the sword, which is why that kind of goal line kind of puts me off a little bit too much. And they do have a Madrid derby at the weekend to consider as well. So I expect quite a kind of cagey encounter unless Real Madrid can really open it up in the second half. And we did see 5 goals in that Valencia, in that Levante Barcelona game. And also it has to be considered that I think this Levante side for me in terms of pure quality on the pitch are probably one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the division for me.
Yeah, my assessment of Real Madrid so far is that they have a great element of control of games under Xavi Alonso. And I mean, the Espanyol game, it was 2-0 after, I think, 50, 60 minutes. And I actually lost in running. I bet on over 2.75 goals in that game. And I was annoyed how in the last 10 minutes, they just were happy with 2-0. Passed the ball around and, element of control. And let's not forget, there's some players in this Real Madrid team who loves to stat pad. Mbappe, Vinicius, they love to get individual goals, but even they seem to be happy to sort of with that 2-0. And maybe this mentality is coming through with Alonso. You're absolutely right. They've got Atletico Madrid at the weekend. That's a massive game on Saturday. Madrid derby. They actually then go to Kairat, which is halfway across the globe on Tuesday. So they've got a bit of traveling to do. That is a really interesting point. So in terms of actually, you've got a bet on the game that you're going to give us out here. It's the same game parlay. Talk us through.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going Levante over 1.5 cards and Real Madrid over 16.5 shots. That comes back at about plus 106 last time I looked. Real Madrid, interestingly, have not had more than 2 cards against them this season, I don't think, in La Liga. So I was going to go over 2.5 cards and make the bet quite a lot more profitable. But given that stat, I didn't want to kind of chance it too much. This is a Levante side that it's conceded a lot of shots. I mean, it's getting towards kind of 20 to 30 shots against Betis and Barcelona, which are the 2 sides that have kept the most possession against them. So I expect this Real Madrid side, even if, as we've said, they're not really going for these games when they're ahead, I do expect them to clear that 16.5 line, which is around the kind of lowest that I think you'll get for Real Madrid games. So that's a plus 106, Levante over 1.5 cards and Real Madrid over 16.5 shots.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually looking at the corner handicap in this game, partly based on stats. I mean, Levante only averaged 2.4 corners per game, but Real Madrid, you're right, they have been racking up quite a few shots, and their corner count has been relatively high. The danger with that is if they do get ahead early and the match is won by half time, it's going to be pass the ball around again. I know what it'll be. It'll be control it in midfield. They won't be probably as adventurous. So that puts me off. I quite like Byron's bet there a little bit. Real Madrid winning under 3.5 at plus money. Probably could get under 4.5 and Real Madrid to win, and you'd get reasonable odds. So it's no real surprise that the money has come for Real Madrid in the game. 99% of the money. What are that 1% thinking?
1% Levante fans.
But just 69% of the money's on the over. So I think the over line is certainly, I mean, for Real Madrid, a lot of people just bet on the overs blind on their fixtures. So I think there's clearly a dubious nature about how many goals they will score in this game. I think they'll be happy with 2-0 again. Very happy. Move on. And
one other thing, a lot of comments coming in for Mbappe. The problem with Mbappe is that the value on him just to score even is down through the floor. It's absolutely rock bottom. So I did kind of look at that as well. But Mbappe, while being kind of the most reliable Real Madrid kind of bet in all of their games right now, Real Madrid, they don't really have anyone else taking chances consistently. I mean, if you look at their goals scored, nobody else has more than kind of 1 or 2 goals this season. It's all Mbappe so far.
What about Bellingham? Are you expecting more from him in the next few weeks? Because is he more being eased back in?
He had a few minutes at the weekend. I think if Alonso expected to start him against Atleti, he would have given him more minutes against Espanyol. There's a chance that he starts this evening, but one of the things that Alonso has been quite clear on is that, first of all, he wants to make Bellingham more efficient, in inverted commas. What that quite means, we're yet to really kind of know, but I think he wants to turn him into more of a kind of conventional central midfielder, so to speak. He does still want his presence in the box, and if Real Madrid are keeping possession a lot, I think we'll see a lot of that. But I also see this being kind of a two-pronged solution. I think Bellingham will be kind of going beyond the last line and creating space for Mbappe, as much as Bellingham getting into the box will be a weapon in itself.
Yeah, very interesting to hear there. And that Real Madrid winning under 4.5 is -155. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Byron says Xabi Alonso loves a 2-0 scoreline. Absolutely. Yeah, he does. I've noticed a real controlling element about Xabi Alonso. Real Brandon King makes a good point. I actually asked you this off air, didn't I, Rory? What is with this weird La Liga schedule? As far as I'm aware, there is no actual explanation for it. It's just they've got to fit in a midweek round somewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 extra midweek games for the Champions League, obviously, for the last 2 seasons. So that's 2 extra weekends where there used to be Copa del Rey games. So if you're Real Madrid, especially, or Barcelona, you've got to get those games in when you're traveling to Saudi Arabia, also in January for the Super Cup. So what used to be quite a free January for La Liga clubs is now basically chock-a-block. And so yeah, they've been putting an extra kind of couple of midweek rounds in the first half of the season, so that they can then get that time back in the second.
A lot of people asking about EFL Cup. I do actually have one bet for the EFL Cup, but I'm sure you guys in chat will have a lot of different angles. So do put your bets in for the EFL Cup. But I will talk about that soon. Before that, just a reminder, everyone, of the Betting Weekly newsletter. I'm sure all of you are signed up for it. But anyone new in chat or watching live on demand on the replay, then absolutely sign up for free. 2 newsletters a week, Monday and Friday. Bumper edition on the Friday is the Insider. Loads of selections from our handicappers in soccer, in US sports, tennis as well. And last week we had a Ryder Cup special. Sign up for free. It's very worth watching out for. Sorry. Just looking at a few comments here before we move to the Sevilla game. Tonya Tiger says, if I was Endrick, I would have gone on loan. What is the point of sitting on the bench? He could learn, though, from a really good coaching team and players around him, is an argument there. But at some point, you do need some game time, I suppose, don't you, really, Rory, there? And Kruku saying, I'm wondering if under 3.5 for Real team total, or under 4.5 in the match. Just before we move on, do you see Levante scoring?
I think there's a chance because, I mean, Real Madrid have been quite defensively good. They have conceded from set pieces against, if you look at kind of 3 of their last 4 games, they've conceded without really doing too much wrong, it has to be said. So yeah, I think there's a chance that Levante scored. They have shown an ability to score so far throughout their 5 games, but I wouldn't put money on it, to put it that way.
Let's move on to Sevilla versus Villarreal. And for me, this is the game of the night. I'm really excited about this one. Sevilla, definitely probably my favourite team in La Liga this season. I've been very excited about them in terms of their potential style this year. And they haven't really failed to deliver in that respect. Villarreal going great runs as well. And this is a battle between 2 teams in the top 10. Sevilla plus 205 on the money line. The tie plus 225. Villarreal at plus 128. Over 2.5 goals is at minus 104, which I'm really surprised at. For me, this is an overs game all day long. This is definitely my best bet of the day. And I've got to take the overs, and the ladder may well come out as well here. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. You've got a player prop for the game. Sevilla, I mean, you've had a few messages about them this season. And, I totally get why you've been concerned about them. And there's been some very concerning moments. But they have found a way to get points on the board to be top half at the minute. So what are you expecting out of this game, Rory? I don't see anything other than a shootout type of game. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how both teams will approach it.
I've been very impressed with Almeida, it has to be said, because Sevilla, while they have had periods under the likes of Quique Sanchez-Flores or Mendilibar in the last 3 years, this is as coherent as they have looked in recent times, it has to be said. I think Almeida has given them answers to other teams. You saw the game against Alaves. Very few teams haven't struggled to put goals past Alaves this season, but Sevilla looked as good as anybody has against their defense. So I think, the Sevilla side, Villarreal, I think, are also being slightly overrated. They had a couple of big wins early on, one of which was against Girona. It was about 4-5-0. They beat Oviedo very comfortably. And as we've seen, those two teams are kind of towards the bottom of this La Liga table. I think this Villarreal side is still a little bit undercooked. They've had a lot of kind of turnover again of players. Marcelino is still kind of setting the basis of his side in. And they have a dodgy goalkeeper, which is never a good sign, as to anyone who saw him throw one in against Spurs. So yeah, this is one where I was kind of looking at ways to oppose Villarreal, and to a certain degree, I don't quite like Sevilla outright. That overs tie is looking very good. One of the stats I was looking at in my pick was that Sevilla have scored at least 2 in 4 of their last 5 home games against Villarreal, and Villarreal have no clean sheet in 4 games as well. So I think where I'm going with this, where my pick is Ruben Vargas to score or assist on the player specials at +235, which is a bit of a flyer. Maybe it's a half unit bet, but 6 goal contributions in his last 5 games if you include his international outings with Switzerland. And yeah, he looks very good, essentially. Almeida has given him the keys to the offense. He's made him the kind of man who brings solutions to this attack. So I expect that to kind of continue. And against the Villarreal defense, which, as I mentioned, I'm still not 100% convinced by, I think Vargas could have some joy again here.
Sevilla have the 3rd lowest expected goals in La Liga, actually. They're the most overachieving team offensively. I'm not quite sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but one thing I do know with Almeida, I'm expecting the expected goals figure to increase as the season goes on. His teams generally do create a lot of big chances, but he's finding ways to score goals. For me, it's a clear over. Villarreal have been an over team for quite some time in general, especially against teams who kind of want to play the same way. And I see it being open. I see it being end-to-end. There might be a few missed chances. I like the goal when there's bad goalkeepers around. I love that as an overs backer. There's nothing worse than being on an overs bet and the goalkeepers just do you in. Certain keepers have frustrated me down the years. So for me, over 2.5 goals is the best bet of the day for me. -105. The ladder is coming out here, no doubt. Over 3.5 goals at +240, and over 4.5 goals at +575, because I could see this being a 3-2 win for someone either way. If it escalated into something wild, I would not be surprised. Villarreal, they have had a few soft fixtures, but I mean, deep down, Sevilla might be quite one of the easy games in a lot of ways, certainly to score goals against. And this Villarreal team does have plenty of firepower in it. The money for the game is on Villarreal with 67% of the tickets and 56% of the money. And over under market, 89% of the money and tickets on the over. So that, if you're following the money, that is where to go. You can watch all of these La Liga games on the BetRivers app, by the way, or by logging into your betrivers.com account. So really good that is for content today. Just looking through some of the comments here. Villarreal handicap, says Balak. Dan Roebuck's heavily on the overs. Doesn't surprise me. I think Dan has been like me this year on the Sevilla overs blind from day one. Ian Messina says, how about a Bilbao Real Madrid moneyline parlay? I've got nothing against that whatsoever. Myself. Good one, Bilbao?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I expect both of those results to come in.
Dan Roebuck, expected goals on target stats are much higher. I like it. He's defending Sevilla. FGA Football says Villarreal win and over 2.5 goals. If Bayern was still at Villarreal, you could see 5 goals. Probably 7 or 8 goals if he was still at Villarreal. Byron. Hi, Toe Fofo. He's going Bilbao -1.5 goals. That looks good based on what we've seen this season for sure. I do like that bet. Okay, so bit of EFL Cup talk now, and also got a bit on the Benfica match, and then we're going to round off by looking at the other games in La Liga. But EFL Cup, I mean, I don't bet cups, Rory, until they get to say quarterfinals stages, even semi-finals. So I'm the kind of the wrong man on Betting Weekly Live today, but there was one bet which caught my eye. Couldn't help myself here, and it's in the Fulham Cambridge United fixture. Now, Fulham are clear favourite to win the game, nearly minus 600 actually on Fulham, but the handicap on Fulham is minus 1.75 on the Asian handicap here and it's very backward, minus 136. Now, the reason Fulham caught my eye is because I think Fulham may well be targeting cups. It's something I've noticed in the last couple of years. They reached the semi-finals of this competition I think a couple of years ago. Or was it last year? I was against Liverpool, actually. And then they had a good run in the FA Cup as well. I backed them to win the FA Cup, and they got done by Palace, I do believe. It's one of those where I just think they're actually a bit of an underrated team, Fulham, full stop. They're a comfortable mid-table side. And I don't think a lot of people realise that. Like, they've just beaten Leeds, they've just beaten Brentford. They're going to have no problem surviving again in the Premier League. They'll be around sort of 10th to 12th place. But their best chance of winning silverware is definitely, getting and qualifying for Europe is to win a trophy. And Crystal Palace and Newcastle last season, I think, have given a lot of these teams motivation to deliver. And there's two reasons I like Fulham on this handicap. Number one, there's nearly 70 places between the two teams. Cambridge United are just 9th in League Two. So there's a big gulf in quality. I think Fulham are going to take the match quite seriously. They're going to take the cup seriously. But also, their squad is deeper than anyone gives it credit for. I mean, just look at in the previous round, they've started players like, Lecomte in goal's not a bad backup. Tom Kearney, they had the likes of Harry Wilson in the side for that one, Diop, Castagna, Sessegnon at left back. Raul Jimenez up front is a great option to come in as your sort of second striker. He's in contention to start for them. This is actually more loaded squad than you ever give them credit for, Fulham. So I like them here to put a big beating past Cambridge by at least 2 goals, minus 1.75 on the Asian handicap. I'm sure there's other bets around the EFL Cup which people might like. I'll just put the card up again here. Anything you like, Rory? I know you're not really an EFL Cup man, but would anything stand out?
Yeah, as you say, the cups, especially with these big sides, I self-admit that I'm not plugged in enough to kind of know who's rotating when. So yeah, I tend to steer relatively clear. But it seems like a good read you've got on Fulham there, and especially if they do take the cup seriously, then that should be a pretty comfortable win. And yeah, as you say, these Premier League sides that increasingly do have huge squads of kind of, Raul Jimenez, international player with Mexico, has won a lot of trophies with them. Harry Wilson obviously went for big money at one stage. Ryan Sessegnon has played Champions League football. So yeah, these are top quality players that are kind of sitting on the bench most weeks.
Yeah, I think that Fulham squad is a lot better than people give it credit for. And Nigel makes a good point there. Fulham are one of the few Premier League teams not to have played at the new Wembley. That's incentive in itself. I think they're desperate to get a good run going. Marco Silva, he knows that they're not going to qualify for Europe via the league. So Byron saying Fulham team total over 2.5 at minus 104. Yeah, I do like that as well because I think they can rack up a decent number here. Cambridge United, this is obviously going to be a big game for them, but they're League Two. They're nearly 70 places below them in the league. And their golfing class just simply should be too much, especially at home. If it was away, it's a little bit different. We saw Grimsby do a job on Man United, didn't we? But at home at Craven Cottage, it shouldn't really be too much of an issue. Okay, there's a Portuguese game on today as well, Benfica against Rio Ave. This is Jose Mourinho's first match in charge of Benfica. Read that he said he might have been better off staying at home, or he would have made more money staying at home. Said it's a big risk taking the Benfica job. That is so Jose Mourinho, isn't it? He couldn't have handpicked a better fixture to start with against Rio Ave here, plus 1050 for them. Benfica minus 500. Goal lines at over 3.5 at minus 103. That doesn't interest me because I think 2-0, 3-0 Benfica is very much on the cards. But the minus 2 Asian handicap here on Benfica looks good. I just think, number one, the golfing class between the two sides is simply too much anyway. Rio Ave just got beat 3-0 at home by Porto. This is a very similar game, except they're now away from home. Don't see why anything would change. They conceded a lot of goals this season. You got a new manager factor at Benfica. Mourinho, it doesn't always make an immediate impact, but I think suddenly the players will be on their toes. Let's just say that. He's not afraid of making big decisions if they needed. I thought it was a little bit of a harsh sacking. But apparently a lot of Benfica fans wanted rid of Bruno Lage. So, and after the Karabag result, I don't think he really had too many complaints about that. But I mean, their results under Lage weren't terrible. So I think Mourinho is inheriting quite a good squad. I think it's the best squad in Portugal. Myself, I think they're the best team in Portugal. And I think they'll win the league. So -2 Asian handicap for me, Benfica, -117. Byron likes Benfica winning at -132 as well. I think that's very capable. And they should not have any problems, in my personal.
Jody Lukebakio is a player I like to do very well under Mourinho. And I think, yes. I don't know if it was the first scorer, I think he was plus 400 there. But also on Mourinho's bank balance, I wrote a story the other day that he is, I think, the first manager to cross the 100 million mark in payoffs from being sacked. So he's got plenty of money. I don't think he should be too worried about that.
I thought he would hang around for a Premier League job. I mentioned in the comments yesterday, I would like to see him maybe wait around for West Ham or something. Cricket comes in this year. Maybe she quite likes this pick as well. This is a cat on form, Rory, 2-0 on the betting zoo, loving life. Troy makes an interesting point about the EFL Cup, that the sportsbook takes a high percentage of match losses on the cup matches. I think that's because of the team news aspect and sort of local knowledge. Stephen Hall makes a good point. He's not going to bet until he sees the lineups. It's so dependent on who's starting for certain teams. The reason I like the Fulham one is because of the huge golfing class, and like I say, that depth in the squad at Fulham, I think, is a bit underrated. Grazza says Mourinho has lost the special one mystique. He wouldn't be trusting him anywhere. So Grazza, Rio Ave +2 is available, Grazza, if you want to oppose Mourinho tonight. Or maybe you might be waiting for a better opposition.
Champions League opposition against Chelsea. Soon.
What a start that is. Incredible fixture, the way that it's gone. Maybe that's why he took the job, just so he could have his grand entrance at Stamford Bridge. That'd be so Mourinho. Okay, we're going to talk about the other Liga matches on the card Wednesday through to... is it Thursday as well? It's just Wednesday.
Yep, Thursday as well, yeah.
Thursday as well, yeah, because tomorrow we've got Europa League action. Me and James Easton will be on. If James has got anything on the games, it would certainly go that way. And then on Thursday, we've got a Ryder Cup special. So we thought, while you're on now, we'll get your thoughts on the games. I'm actually going to start off here with a game, Real Sociedad against Mallorca. You got a same-game parlay for this one, similar to the Levante one today. Not a match I would have looked at, to be fair here, Rory. So it's an interesting sort of angle here.
Yeah, two teams struggling, two teams that are winless, just a couple of points between them. So Real Sociedad are desperate need of a win for Sergio Francisco, who's new man in charge and hasn't had one. Mallorca have been a bit of a dumpster fire, to be perfectly honest. Early on, they did get a draw against Atleti at the weekend, which is, I think, could be big for them. But Jacob Arrasate has been putting out said dumpster fires in the squad early on. Their kind of captain got stripped of his captaincy and suspended after some social media posts. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of discontent in this game, essentially, and two teams that I think will feel if they can keep a clean sheet or if they can keep the score down, then they will win this game or at least get a result. My parlay here is under 3.5 goals and over 22.5 shots. That's at -118. I don't think either of these sides have goals in them. Essentially, they're not high scoring teams. I don't think either of them has scored more than 2 goals so far this season. If you look at the shots total, Real Sociedad clear that in every game. Mallorca have cleared that in 3 out of 5 games. And if you look at the goals total, it's 4 out of 5 Mallorca games that comes in at, and 3 out of 5 for Real Sociedad. And as I say, both of those teams are kind of nervy. They're not wanting to give too much away.
Yeah, I do like that one. This feels like the sort of game that will go under the goal line over the shots line, probably over the corner line as well, but they just can't find a way to finish their chances. Probably Real Sociedad corners would interest me here. Mallorca often get dominated in that category. The 2 early games tomorrow, just give me a brief line on both of them here. Getafe against Alaves. Saw Getafe incredibly linked with Patrick Bamford today. Don't know how much truth there is in that one. That reeks of a potential 0-0 to me.
Yeah, the goal line is at 1.5 here. This is a steer clear for me because whoever scores first is in a completely different position. Alaves has been quite conservative away from home. Getafe, I do think that pricing kind of represents the fact that any of these, whatever goal goes in or doesn't go in, is going to influence in a big way the match. So yeah, steer clear for me here. But yeah, the goal line at 1.5 doesn't help us too much.
What about Atletico Madrid against Rayo Vallecano? I mean, 2 local derbies in the space of, 4 days for Atletico Madrid. They can't maybe take Rayo lightly here, but they've got to be having a look ahead to the weekend as well. And they've been a bit inconsistent, Atletico Madrid. Would you trust them at -200?
I would. The way I was looking at it earlier, I think it was like +106. Or maybe it was a little bit less than that. But yeah, Atleti at halftime, because as we say, they need a result in this game before the Madrid derby. I think there'll be a reaction early on. Atleti at home are a bit of a different proposition, and Rayo away from home similarly a lot weaker and have a not so great record at the Metropolitano. So yeah, I think Atleti, I did look at them, halftime, full-time scores, that kind of thing, was where I'd be looking for that one.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting match. Rayo Vallecano can give sides a bloody nose, but mostly more in the home sort of fixtures there. Osasuna against Elche. I think Osasuna will tempt a lot of... This is a Thursday game, by the way. I think Osasuna will tempt a lot of people in here at nearly even money, Rory, because, I mean, this is against a newly promoted side who, to be fair to Elche, they've performed pretty well so far. No one's actually beat them, have they? But Osasuna away from home is just not an easy game, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, they should be on the Osasuna money line, because I think I've still not, this is a lean for me, I've still not quite made peace with the going for the Vargas anytime goal or assist over Osasuna to win on the money line at -106. Elche have overperformed their goals expected by quite a good distance so far. They are one of 3 unbeaten teams, which maybe perhaps stopped me from going all in on this. But yeah, I think Osasuna have a good chance of winning this. Osasuna have been unlucky in a few of their games. Alessio Lischi is a good manager, and Alessio Lischi also a manager that faced Elche twice with Mirandés last season when he was managing there. So I like Osasuna to get a result in this game.
Yeah, I quite like Osasuna there, I must say. Elche not lost yet. I think if they hadn't have... they've had a reasonably soft fixture schedule, certainly the last 2 or 3 fixtures. Normally, I think Osasuna would be about -150 to beat them at certain stages of the season. And last but not least, a big game. Well, I said big game. There'll be a lot of betting action in this game on Thursday. This is Barcelona away to Real Oviedo. Barcelona are currently -420 actually with Bet Rivers, and Real Oviedo are +850. The Real Oviedo game against Real Madrid, it was eventually quite a convincing win for Real Madrid, but Oviedo did give it a decent fight. You've got a bet in this game. You're going in. How hard are you going in on this one, Rory? Because I mean, Barcelona are going to be a very popular bet. Are they going to have any problems away from home against Real Oviedo?
I think they should have enough, but it's worth remembering that against Real Madrid, it was only 1-0 until the final 10 minutes or so. Alan Escandere has been very good for Oviedo in goal as well, especially. The way I'm going at this is over 6.5 shots on target plus a Dani Olmo shot on target. That's at +106. Dani Olmo will probably almost certainly start this game because Fermin Lopez has just been ruled out for 3 weeks. So Olmo is trying to get back in rhythm. He did score against Getafe at the weekend. And he started to look a little bit more like himself, I think. Even in these opening kind of 3 or 4 games where he's not been sharp or at his best at all, he has been getting into goal-scoring positions. So I like him to get a shot on target in this one. And I like Barca to clear 6.5, I think. They've done that in 4 out of 5 games. The only game they haven't was against Rayo. In that Rayo game, as we know, they were a long way from their best.
Yeah, you've been very creative today with your bets, I must say, Rory. Someone actually mentioned that as well.
And maybe spent too long looking at these games and started to delve in too deep. But
yeah, very very good indeed. Just latest on Lamine Yamal and his injury. What can you tell us about him? Obviously we know his record. Their record without him last season was not very good, but they've had no real problems so far since he's missed the last 2 comfortable wins.
Yeah, and against Newcastle as well. 11 goals scored, 1 conceded in 3 games without him. So not doing too badly. Joan Laporta did let slip at the Ballon d'Or Gala last night that they think he could be back for a few minutes against Real Sociedad, but I don't think he'd be starting. The one that they do want him back for is PSG next Tuesday. So I expect him to be present in some form or another at that game. Beforehand, I think he might get kind of 10, 15 minutes against Real Sociedad, but still not training with the rest of his teammates. He's still in the gym as of Tuesday. So yeah, no real development, but they hope to have him back by the end of the month, essentially.
Do you think he'd be disappointed about not winning the Ballon d'Or? I mean, would he have expected to win it? I mean, I think it was a pretty badly kept secret that Dembele was always going to get it. But, Yamal, a lot did make a case for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would have been disappointed. I don't think he necessarily would have expected to win this one outright. I think he's so confident that I think he could well have expected it. His father certainly did expect it and said that he was by a long way better than Dembele. But I think this is good news for Barcelona, to be perfectly honest. I think Hansi Flick and Barcelona will be quietly not disappointed that Lamine Yamal is now hungry to win the Ballon d'Or rather than having won it going into kind of the winter months of the season. So, yeah, I think this is almost good news for Barcelona and Lamine Yamal's career, because I think it will inspire him to be better rather than, perhaps winning the Ballon d'Or. You have your celebration and then you have to kind of come back down to earth against PSG with Dembele, of course.
We do actually have some lineups out here for the Athletic Bilbao game, and someone's asking about, I think this is from Flashcore, who is this Austin fella starting for Bilbao? I think it's got to be a mistype from what I've seen. I need to find the Athletic Bilbao 11 officially because I think Flashcore may well have it wrong. Here we go. I'm just looking now. Yeah, there is no... This is a mistake on Flashcore. Jordan Austin, right? Jordan Austin last played in 2017 for East Fife in Scotland. So,
not the most Basque name, I had to say.
This is a mistake. I think they'll correct it. He's listed to play left back on Flashcore, but it is a mistake, I think. It has to be a mistake, surely. Unless she's gone and married a Basque girl or something. I don't know. Even that might not get him in to the team. But
can't see if Athletics team is out.
Well, I've got the team now. This is official X. We've got Unai Simon, Adama, Laporte, Paredes, Groshabal, is that how you pronounce him? Vesga, Good. This is terrible. Serrano, Sunset, Williams, and Cruzetta.
It does make me laugh that I've just made you do that when, in theory, I know all those names.
Yes, you knew them all. But yeah, that's the lineup. And he's not on the bench either. So it is a mistake from Flashscore. Wow, those were tough pronunciations, Rory. But anyway, enjoyed the show. Best bet for you. Let's go. Best bet today and best bet for the round.
Best bet for the round, I will go with the Real Oviedo Barcelona game with Olmo shot on target. Barca over 6.5 shots on target. That's a plus 106. And best bet today, it's hard to look past Levante over 1.5 cards. And Real Madrid over 16.5 shots. That was around even money for that one.
Yeah, my best bet of the day is Sevilla Villarreal over 2.5 goals. Second best bet of the day, Athletic Bilbao -1 Asian handicap. And I think for the third best bet of the day, it will have to be in the EFL Cup, Fulham -1.75. I can't quite believe I'm saying that about a cup game.
You were going to say Austin score or assist.
Dan Robick says, what's happened to Alvarez, Ruri? Which Alvarez?
Julian, Atleti's prime goal scorer. Atleti have just been so up and down. He missed a penalty at the weekend. I was looking at his stats, and he's only had one big chance this year by statistical metrics, and that was on the opening day of the season. He's only scored once, and that was against Espanyol on the opening day of the season. He's been asked to sacrifice a lot, but ultimately is a product of Atleti not quite functioning. I expect, and this is maybe one to keep an eye on if you're betting on Atleti games, his production will take a huge upturn when Alex Baena is back in the side, and he should be back potentially tomorrow night briefly, and definitely against Real Madrid at the weekend.
They still haven't fixed this on Flash Score. Jordan Austin, the former East 5-man, is it is a mistake. But anyway, that will conclude the show. We've got a Betting Weekly Tennis Live coming up in about an hour's time with Rory Girani and Nigel Seeley. That's at 1 o'clock Eastern. 2 o'clock Eastern, we've got Doug on the show for the hardball. And then later on today, we've got a fast break show as well, I do believe. So, and watch out for Game Better Match and the WTA show. So loads of content on the channel as per normal. Thank you so much, Rory. Love those breakdowns today. Good luck with your plays. I'll be back tomorrow with James Easton for Europa League action, and James will give us some thoughts on the Liga as well if he's got them. And don't forget, Ryder Cup is this week, Thursday and Friday. Simon Holden's going to be on the show. Thursday with Dan with a full breakdown tournament preview at Bethpage Black. So thank you everyone for joining live or on demand. Remember to sign up for the newsletter. Please do hit the like button. We're desperate for likes. We've been improving recently. We want to keep getting as many likes as we can. And hit the subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel. Remember to gamble responsibly. Good luck whatever you are taking today. And I'll see you tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live. Take care, y'all.